The
Sure.
unexpecteds are huge in the event industry. Um, so let's talk about some of the, you've already mentioned some of the general things from personal hiring to, basic business costs going up to supply chain issues. It can be really hard to manage. I know that there were some really specific events that you dealt with in the past several weeks. I think you got 8. Let's go through those 8 specific examples.
Well, again, I think just this week we saw a lot of business owners and financial executives realize, who would have thought, we need a strategy to diversify how we store the company's savings and operating cash. And that would be the money that you need relatively quickly for a variety of things on any given week or month. So I'm not talking about long-term savings and maybe a company has a mutual fund or what have you. So that's now going to become a thing. As I've talked to some owner friends and financial leaders, they're like, "Yep." This problem may solve itself as the U.S. banking industry is going, "Hey, I know we have $250,000 as insured insured accounts in the FDIC. We all see those 4 letters FDIC, but it's been an awful long time since that number's been updated.
It
So
has.
that may take care of itself. And by the way, what forced this? I think it became real when you saw 1 or 2 banks where they grew so quickly, and the Silicon Valley Bank, which was I think the one that started off, they said they have like $150 billion of deposits of accounts that are over that $250,000 threshold. So that means they're uninsured deposits. And all at once, a bunch of people freaked out and they go, "I got to take my money out of there and put it someplace else or spread it out or whatever." And it just starts to run in the bank, puts a bank at risk. I think I mentioned, I think our industry was stress test this week, like with the Con Expo show I mentioned and Global Pet. And we're seeing firsthand, how ready is our industry really on the logistics and the freight and the transportation to be back for those types of big active shows. And we're realizing, we're not clean and pretty yet, as I said. Just as we look, Khalil, with our own shipments in and out of our 2 facilities in Vegas and Orlando. So we're seeing, let's use freight as an example. We're experiencing what I would call unexpected mistakes I'll be kind and say 1 out of 3 shipments. So for example, we say, "Hey, we've got 8 pieces that are going to be moving to Atlanta for a show." And they show up with a 26-foot truck and not either a 40-foot or a 53-foot trailer. And so everything's not going to fit in that truck. Well, somebody at dispatch was new. Or we get somebody that does pick up a shipment and, it's not being delivered in an efficient way. And we find out the driver was new and he picked up freight and he drove directly over to the convention center. He didn't know that you have to check in 5 miles away. It's something called the marshaling yard where all the trucks for that show meet, check in, and then they are dispatched in an orderly fashion, first come, first serve, to the convention center. So that alone can cause delays, right? So in that case, it may be a poor understanding. "Oh yeah, no, I'm a driver. I have my CDL and okay, but you really don't know anything about the trade show process." Anyway, we're finding again. So this is really the labor and the hiring and the experience challenges there. But it's silly. I mean, I don't know where this fits in. We've had more checks mailed this year to the wrong address or delivered to the wrong address. So is that a new mail carrier? Right? It's the right address is on the check. So that's insane. We're seeing more. We get to show site to move in somebody else's project, and the electrical order is incorrect, or some of the show services aren't ordered. Anyway, some of these can be anticipated, but there's a much higher volume we're seeing right now, and I equate that to our operational readiness, collectively in the build back process.
Well, and it's hard to be operationally ready whenever you're dealing with such high not necessarily turnover, but just new employees into the space. You're dealing with all sorts of challenges, and on top of that, those challenges may not fit what your processes were before the pandemic, because supply chain is different, and you
Oh,
know,
it's so true. Yeah.
and so it just comes with new territory for different people in the industry. Uh, it's bound to happen.